Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is the most disturbing videos on the internet today. Let's dive in.
Under the waves is where we belong.
I could make a sperm out of your skin cells and an egg and fertilize that.
So you can clone me.
I could clone you. I won't do that because it's illegal, but biologically we could do that. I can make organs, mini organs from you and test. And what we're doing in the lab is we have personalized medicine.
Yeah. Wow.
So when you come to my lab, and you have to promise you're going to come, I'll show you, we grow these mini brains in the lab. And we've got them from people that are predisposed to Alzheimer's or not. And we have a way to age those brains so that they're now 80 years old, even though they're only a few months old. And they lose their ability to fire electrically. They become demented in the dish, little mini brains. And so we give them Alzheimer's and dementia in the dish. And then what we do is we have a system to turn on those 3 embryonic genes, OS and K, and those brains go back in age. But here's the cool thing. Alzheimer's goes away. They get the electrical activity comes back. Now we do this in a mouse. We make the mouse older, just let them age out, or we accelerate it. And we've been now reversing the age of those brains in the mice. And you can guess what happens. They get their memory ability to learn back.
Unbelievable.
Call me crazy, but isn't that how Planet of the Apes started?
Turn the machine on.
Denny Klein fires up his hot new invention. His machine emits a flame that feels only slightly warm to the touch. But watch what happens when he touches anything else.
Instantaneously, I can burn a hole right down through the center of that brick.
The flame instantly turns hotter than the surface of the sun. Heat so intense it takes only seconds to literally burn a hole through charcoal. 3 seconds turns a brass ball to glowing liquid metal. Tungsten lights up like a sparkler. Steel, lead, and other metal slices on contact. Yet the tip of the welder stays cool to the touch.
No other gas will do this.
Denny Klein uses an alternative fuel source once thought impossible. He says people still have trouble believing him when he reveals his liquid fuel.
Water. Take water and electricity, and we break it down through our very unique electrolysis process.
Klein has just patented his process of converting H2O to HHO, producing a gas that combines the atomic power of hydrogen with the chemical stability of water.
It turns right back to water. You can see the water running off of this.
Klein originally designed his water-burning engine for cutting metal. He thought his invention would replace volatile acetylene in welding factories. Then one day, as he drove to his laboratory in Clearwater, he thought of another way to burn his HHO gas.
On a 100-mile trip, we use about 4 ounces of water.
Klein says his prototype 1994 Ford Escort can travel exclusively on water, though he currently has it rigged to run as a water and gasoline hybrid.
Simply speaking, it can change the world by reducing our dependence on fossil fuels.
These are equivalent to our...
Pete Dominici is helping Klein take his hydrogen technology patents from a 2-room office in Clearwater to consumer markets around the world.
You know what? Microsoft came out of nowhere, came out of the garage. Why not hydrogen technologies?
The duo is already in negotiations with one U.S. automaker and the U.S. government. Their plans have grown from basic welding with water to powering the entire world from the safest and cleanest fuel on Earth. Craig Patrick, Fox News.
Members of Congress recently invited Denny Klein to Washington to demonstrate his technology. Now his company is currently developing a Hummer for the U.S. military that can run on both water and gasoline. So far, his water-powered engines have passed all performance safety inspections, so all systems appear to be go right now, and gives new meaning to the term running water.
You just have to hope that water prices don't go up like the gas.
Turn the machine on.
Unbelievable. Where is this technology at? How come we aren't all driving H2O Hummers right now is the question. Where is he at in this technology now?
We're here in Glen Rose, Texas at the Paluxy River, and these are dinosaur tracks, just to give you an idea of the size of them. And look at the gate. There got to be 5 feet. Boom, 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 boom.
Hear me out. What if that's not a dinosaur track, but it's actually a dragon? And that was right before he did takeoff. He needed those hard steps. Boom, boom, boom. Flapping, and then he took off. I'm telling you, man. What if the T-Rexes were actually had wings? All the T-Rexes, what if they actually had wings and were dragons? All the cultures talk about them. Chinese, everybody. Was there dragons? Is this proof of their footsteps?
Reptiles never stop growing. It's a simple fact. Most reptiles never stop growing. They grow all their life. People stop growing. When you're 16 or 18, you're going to quit growing. At least vertically. Some go horizontally thereafter, but reptiles never stop growing. What would happen to a reptile if you put him in the Garden of Eden and let him live to be 900 years old? You'd have a big lizard. A really big lizard. Dinosaurs were big lizards that lived with Adam and Eve before the flood came. You can get these Jackson chameleons right now at the pet store. What's he going to look like at about 15 tons? Probably some kind of triceratops. Dinosaur means terrible lizard, and dinosaurs lived with humans all through history. They just had a different name for them. But dinosaur bones and human bones have been found together. Dinosaur bones were found in the same rock strata as these fossilized human hands. Dinosaur bones and mammal bones found together. Here's one of the Ica stones showing a human riding a dinosaur. Dr. Ball has a couple of the stones in his museum. We have 8 in our museum now of these Ica stones. I think we have the largest collection in America of these Ica stones from Peru. Many of them show dinosaurs on there. Dinosaur footprints and human footprints have been found together. In Glen Rose, Texas, I know there's controversy about this. I've been there 5 times. I've heard all the critics on it, and I've been there myself to check it out, okay? But go to Dallas, Texas, and go south 45 miles to Glen Rose, and you'll find the Paluxy River flows through this little town, and it's all full of limestone. The whole area is limestone. Well, that river cuts through this limestone layers. In 1908, there was a flood. The river dropped 17 feet per mile, but this flood was incredible. It was, I think, 30 feet above flood stage or something. It was just an incredible flood in 1908. It ripped off the bottom of the river, tore off the layer of limestone. 2 foot of limestone was ripped up. Underneath was a new layer of limestone, and when the river dried up that next summer, they discovered there are hundreds of dinosaur footprints. It's called Dinosaur Valley State Park. They chiseled out lots of the footprints and took them to museums to save them so they wouldn't get eroded by the river. Took out huge blocks in the 1930s and set them up under dinosaur skeletons. But sometimes in this area they find human footprints with the dinosaur footprints. Here's a trail of human tracks and crossing a trail of dinosaur tracks. And the human footprints, some of them are pretty good size, and occasionally they're found inside the dinosaur footprint. Well, if you're running through the mud to escape the flood, that's the logical place to step. Right where somebody else already stepped. Just like walking through deep snow.
I
Reptiles.
thought mention dragons at least once. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What's going on? If you're enjoying this video, be sure to slap that like and subscribe button because we do these videos every single day. And I love to see you around here. So let's get straight back into the action.
These 2 carvings found in another ancient temple. The woman on the left is holding a device near her ear and mouth, just like how we use a modern day cell phone. Look at the other woman. She's clearly holding a flat, thin, rectangular tablet computer, and she's using an electric stylus to touch the screen, just like how we use our iPads or Android tablets today. If cell phones were invented only in the last 50 years, how was it carved many centuries ago?
You know, I would say that she is writing something on the right, but how she's holding it and how she's pressing on it makes it seem like she's on an electric tablet-like device. And on the left, I'm thinking it could be a comb, but her hair's already done and wrapped up. What's she gonna comb it for? You know? This could be a electronic device. Signs of ancient technology that they are continually trying to hide from us, I believe. That is simply sensational.
Your name Chris?
Yeah.
What's up? How you doing, man?
Not doing too good.
Man, you want a slice of pizza?
Yeah.
Here you go, man.
Can you call PD for me? Huh?
It looks like they're already out here.
Is that the helicopter looking at me?
I don't know, maybe. But you want to possibly get out the street?
Thank you.
Yeah, here, well, let's wait for the cars.
Thanks for the pizza, sir.
Of course. Oh, it looks like the cops are here already. Yeah. Well, have a good one, Chris. Your name Chris?
Yeah.
What's up? How you doing, man?
Bro had 5 stars. What is going on here? I'm glad he helped him and gave him some pizza. That was good looking. Sometimes someone just needs a friend. That's all it takes. Sometimes you just need a friend.
What if I told you that the cartoon we all know as the Thundercats was actually based on a real ancient cosmic war that took place between the Lyrans and the Draco-Reptilians? Lyrans are cat-like extraterrestrials. They actually depicted them all through the hieroglyphics in ancient Kemet. The ancient Kemetic goddess Sekhmet was actually from the Lyran constellation. Kemetic goddess Bastet is also from the Lyran constellation. Here's a depiction of the Lyrans. This is an extraterrestrial feline race, okay, from the constellation of Lyra. All right, now they are pretty much agreeable, meaning that they're benevolent beings. We got along with these beings. Bastet was actually married to Enki, or they also referred to him as Ptah. We all know Mumra was their main villain, okay? And if you look at the emblem on his chest, it's a 2-headed serpent facing each other, basically. It's a personification of reptilian chaos energy. These were their primary villains, okay? They were reptilians. We all know the Draconians are basically tyrants, all right? They're a very tyrannical race. Their objective is basically to create war and chaos. For those that aren't aware of who the Lyrans are, some say that these beings actually created the Elohim. It was referred to as the Lyran Syrian High Council, all right? And their job was they overseeing the Syrians that seeded the 12-strand DNAs on the 5D planet Terra. Again, the Lyran Syrian High Council was basically in charge of hosting the seeding of 12-strand genetics on the planet. All of one was basically the personification of what's called the Christic ideology. So in perspective, this was a war of consciousness. This is a war between the Christ and the Antichrist. Christ meaning love and service to others, and Antichrist basically just meaning service to self. The Antichrist, basically in perspective, means a tyrannical mindset just in service to self and opposed to the collective conscious joining for love for others. Because these beings' objective is to basically oppress the law of one or go against the law of one, they basically are willing to mind control you to bend you to their will. They'll basically strip you of your free will. A lot of us think we are operating under our own accord, when most of the time it's MK Ultra, it's different things that are being induced in our neurophysiology to basically make us, basically they're puppet mastering everyone, all right, through different technology and a lot of different chemicals and things of that nature, just to basically bend you to their will. Been depicted it in Thundercats. Mumra was a mummified mystic. He used mind control and a lot of different tactics to get the Thundercats to go against each other, to basically get them off point and things of that nature. Mumra used a lot of mind control tactics and mind games. This is the same thing that's going on currently with the Draco-Reptilians. They use MK Ultra. They use a lot of mind games to basically pull you away from who you truly are. This is why in Thundercats, they also showed us the importance of the third eye and seeing through the illusion. When Lionel picked up the Sword of Omens and he put it right here and he said, give me sight beyond sight, it opened that pineal gland up. And that's the representation of the pineal gland, is seeing through the illusion. He was able to see through all Mumra's magic, all his illusions. Okay, the fourth wall he put up to create that illusion, that pineal gland will break it down.
The Lycans, though? Check this out. What if the fallen angels did some type of bad genetic experiment and made those Lycans, and they had like really smart capabilities and powers, and something like that came about? I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just a crazy theory to think about. For entertainment purposes only, do your own research on everything. All of this is just allegedly.
Every ancient alphabet, bar none, has always from day one with each letter had a mysterious number associated with the letter. The study of that. Every ancient alphabet, bar none, has always from day one with each letter had a mysterious number associated with the letter. The study of that code is called gematria, atomic mass of the elements. The numbers of the atomic mass are the numbers that equate to the mysterious letters in the ancient alphabets. What that means is when you look at human DNA, or the DNA of any life, the numbers that equate to those become 1, 5, 6, and 3. Literally reads, literal. God eternal within the body. God eternal within the body. It is in Hebrew, and Aramaic and Sanskrit, three of the root languages. If there's an intentionality underlying life itself and human life specifically, it would make tremendous sense to me that who or whatever is responsible would somehow have left a sign. Why place that signature into something that can crumble over a few thousand years, like a temple wall, or into the pages of a book that can be destroyed? Why not put it in the creation itself?
That is absolutely fascinating when you break it down like that. If you thought I didn't have an excellent specimen for you today, think again. Feast your eyes on this gorgeous blue aragonite specimen. Are you kidding me? The blue is just simply dazzling. That had to be two different pieces, but they both were extraordinary. If I had to name this piece, I would name it Snow Water. Energy never disappears. How fascinating. Plants, trees definitely have energy. Makes me think about the ancient trees back in the day and how they went into the stratosphere. I wonder if they were able to harness the ether naturally.
People should look into cymatics. This was done in cathedrals, which I thought was really cool. There was a fellow who took a device, went into cathedrals, and saw that the stained glass windows in the cathedrals were emitting the same picture on his device as the stained glass windows. The sound resonance in which we can't hear is actually being impacted by the materials and the colors and everything that's with it. So when you get into sound frequency, people can look into cymatics. There's lots of fellows who've done different things with cymatics. They take plates of salt and they show how different pictures and different graphics are created with sound. Each different sound can heal a different organ. This is where you get into like sound therapy, sound healing. You know, they do the things with the bells and they do things with the drums and the tuning forks. Back in the 1920s and 30s in Germany, they would do tuning forks. They put tuning forks up and down the body, and that's how they would begin to heal the person. They would find a spot that was stuck, and they would bring that tuning fork right to there. They'd hold it there until it cleared, and then they'd move it down. But when you get into plants too, certain frequencies of music can be very beneficial, and then certain ones can be detrimental.
What makes these buildings so fascinating to me is that I believe this was the peak of human building, construction, engineering, how they did it with the sounds and how they look. You know, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who built them. If it was fallen angels, giants, however they done it, it is simply breathtaking just looking at the pictures. How do you think these were actually built? Fallen angels, giants? Did people just chisel them out of concrete? I want to know.
Multiple times over, the buildings were destroyed, the towns were destroyed, and things were reset over and over again. You had a repopulation tactic that took place. You know, you get into immigration and that whole thing too. You know, we see the same thing we hear today where we don't want the immigration and whatever. That's the same thing you hear back then, 1893.
I am almost convinced those airships was dropping pieces off of those buildings like Legos, building it piece by piece. The question is where is the foundry and how did they craft each piece? Because I definitely think airships could have played a role in dropping them off.
This ancient Egyptian jeweled scarab pectoral comes from the burial of Pharaoh Shoshenq II. At the center is a scarab beetle, symbolizing rebirth, lifting the sun disk, a powerful emblem of creation and renewal. Flanking the scarab are two rearing cobras, each wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt, symbolizing royal protection. Along the bottom edge, lotus flowers and sun disks represent immortality. This ancient Egyptian jeweled scarab...
Oh, I see it. I thought it was a pelican at first. I'm like, okay, here's the eye and here's the beak, but it's actually a snake with a crown. What is this? A pendant? A comb? What would they put this around, a gold necklace? You know? To give the snake a crown though? What were they on?
So these are made out of pure marble.
security guard said that the marble came from Italy and some marble came from Georgia. So if you do the research of this place, you're gonna find that there was a fire, like there always is in 1916. There was some mysterious fire. And these are all different, by the way. And these are all solid marble, made out of solid pieces of solid marble. By the way. And yeah, this is you know, this place was completed. Let's just take a look here. This place was completed. Look at this. This place was completed in 1925. It was started in like 1916, 1917. Do the research. And then, and 9 years later, it's just 9 years later, this is complete. So, yeah, I'm here because, you know, I have to see it for myself.
That is a beautiful cathedral in New York.
This is why you soak your produce. 2 cups of vinegar, a half of a lime, 2 tablespoons of Celtic sea salt, 1 gallon of distilled or filtered water soaked for 5 to 10 minutes. And now I use my Thurisage bubbler to get it even more clean. This is why you soak your...
Probably should be washing my fruit, but I be biting straight into it.
There is a story about giants in Death Valley. These 2 amateur archaeologists, they heard these legends regarding this ancient underground city where giants used to roam. So these 2 dudes, Dr. Bruce and Dr. Daniel, they were just exploring all through Death Valley, and they found this really, really small opening of a cave. So they went down in. They said it was polished stone, like it was perfect. And one of the first caverns that they found, they call it the Hall of Giants. And it was basically these preserved mummies of these giants, hundreds of them, ranging from like 8 to 12 feet tall.
Wow.
Just weird stuff. And then another room that they went into apparently had these preserved, mummified, extinct animals. They had dinosaurs in it, saber-toothed tigers, mammoths. But it gets crazier. They said that they explored it for a total of 15 years. Didn't want to tell anyone about it. So they got all these investors together and they wanted to start a company called Amazing Explorations. He brought these investors to the caves to see it. And they're like, whoa, what the heck? This is insane. But it was very secretive. So like only Dr. Russell knew the exact entrance of this cave. Shortly after that, an article came out talking about this underground labyrinth, ancient giants, all this stuff. And he said, I'm going to do a press conference. I'm going to bring artifacts from the cave and we're going to expose the whole thing.
Yeah.
On his way out to collect those artifacts, disappeared.
Oh boy.
He was just gone.
It's like we hear so many stories about giants. They all can't be lying.
You need manpower to build infrastructure and all of these things that they're allegedly doing back then. You need a lot of people. You know, you wouldn't have a population of, let's say, I don't know, 1,000 people to build these big buildings and all use the stone and all these materials. Go back and look at that and kind of see things and kind of just question yourself. Because I was watching old footage from the 1920s of just Europe, for example. The buildings are absolutely massive in comparison to the people. And you have to sit there and wonder who built that then. Because they look like little ants compared to these massive buildings. North Korea too. They have all these tourists going to North Korea lately. If you look at those old world buildings, they are all there. And it's all what used to be in America, Europe, and many other places before they destroyed it. The New World. That's why they say New Order. Because the old order is gone and the New World is here. And as America was
Lost footage. 1937 expedition beyond the ice wall. Why was this not in history?
In the winter of 1937, a military expedition vanished beyond the Antarctic shelf. No final report, no names recorded, only reels of damaged film recovered decades later. The footage shows what they found: a wall of ice stretching beyond the limits of geography, carved not by nature, but by something deliberate. And behind it, what appears to be a structure, an ice citadel etched with faces no historian can place. They made their way through the main passage, boots dragging across frost that hadn't melted in centuries. The first chamber held no furniture, no tools, only a black pedestal humming quietly as if waiting to be used. Further in, the rooms grew stranger, ceiling carvings that matched no known language, walls etched with symbols that glowed faintly under lantern light. And then they entered what the documents call the Celestial Room, a dome of perfect symmetry, star maps etched in mirrored eyes spanning constellations we have yet to name. They weren't just charting the sky, they were marking something, a path, a warning, a return. And now, after nearly a century, we have to ask, were they the first to find it or simply the last to disappear?
Are giants actually real like the Bible says? Watch this.
We were in Chiapas, Mexico, and on a mountain, we saw a giant. I'm not talking about a 9-footer or 10-footer. I'm talking about mid-20s. Not for a glimpse, not a second. For about 25 minutes, I stared at it. It did not rattle my faith one bit. No. Because I already know how to process all this. I said, Jerry, I want you to softly turn around. He said, why? And I said, because there is something, a giant on the top of that hill, and I've been looking at it for 20, 30 minutes. And Jerry turned around and went, oh my gosh! And man, when he did, that thing kind of stood up like this, and it just turned around and went, hey, Jerry, did we see a giant in Mexico? Yes, sir. Okay, there it is.
This was a giant spotted in Mexico.
Yeah, you know, it's even more weird is if you take a picture of a $1 bill on the back.
It looks like an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you actually, well, you turn the contrast all the way up. And yeah, the contrast reveals an alien head and the face, the eyes, everything. It's kind of genius. What's in your pocket?
Yeah, Roswell.
That's funny. What's in your pocket? Roswell. Oh no. The code word for today is Friday Night Vibes. Go ahead and drop Friday Night Vibes in the comments below. That lets me know you're a real one because you made it all the way through. And I just want to say thank you. Your support means the world to me. And this was the most disturbing videos on the internet today. See you tomorrow.